Hello and welcome to another video. I'm Maz and today I'm filming my final video of 2024. And in this video, I'm just going to go through the highlights of this year, as well as from last year, because I pretty much took YouTube serious around summer of 2023. So this video will basically be a rewind or a recap and talk about some videos that I filmed within the past 18 months. And of course, within those 18 months, I've been making lots of videos on my personal car, the Jaguar F-Type, as well as reviewing other cars, as well as showing some simple DIY upgrades. So I'm basically going to award these videos, and they're going to be awarded into 5 different categories. First category is the best video of 2023 and 2024 put together. So in third place is my personal F-Type review, the P300 Checkered Flag Edition, which is currently at 5.9 thousand views. In second place is another Jaguar review, the XK, which is currently at 6.4 thousand views. But in first place is also another Jaguar review, the I-Pace, which is currently sat at 6.9 thousand views, nearly 7,000. And this was also a blacked out I-Pace as well, so it wasn't a red I-Pace, so on the thumbnail it doesn't really stand out much. It was also a 400 Sport, so it had a nicer, sportier or stealthier look. It was also the third generation, or should I say third phase, with the blanked out grille. And one thing I really liked about that car is it had the performance seats like you get in an F-Type or an F-Pace SVR, and they were in red, which I think really suits the black exterior very well. And I actually quite enjoyed driving the I-Pace. If I had to buy an EV crossover, this would be my first choice. But of course, I'm more of a saloon or sports car kind of person. Cars that sit closer to the ground. But the I-Pace still handled very well. It was very sure-footed. And interestingly, when I put my foot down in that car, it made a sound very similar to a supercharger whine. The second award goes to the quirkiest car that I reviewed. So in third place is the Mercedes E-Cabriolet Diesel. It's not necessarily a quirky car, but it is a quirky combination of having a drop-top convertible with a rattly 4-cylinder diesel engine. Of course, they do come in petrols, and I do strongly advise getting a petrol equivalent instead, especially when you have to deal with diesel particulate filters and AdBlue in modern diesels. Also, in bigger cities, there are stricter rules with driving a diesel into the city centre, and that rule is a lot more laid back with petrols. So, in terms of future-proofing, I do recommend getting a petrol e-cabriolet. And of course I do my reviews in Gloucester, and I was trying to take it along a multi-storey car park known as King's Walk, and when going up the ramps, the diesel rattle was very apparent. In second place is the Saab 9-3. Saabs have always been very quirky cars from the get-go. From the outside, I always found them to be conservative but stylish, but you sit inside and things are a lot more different. You get a sort of like a wraparound dash along with a center-mounted ignition, and you get a night panel button which turns off all of the dials except for the speedo and reads only up to 90 miles per hour. Of course, these dials that are turned off will start to turn on once abnormal information is required, such as redlining, overheating, or fuel reserve. But the most quirky car that I've driven in 23 and 24 put together is the Nissan S-Cargo. So the S-Cargo is basically Nissan's small commercial van, S-Cargo meaning small cargo, and it's also designed to look like a snail, and the French word for snail is escargot. So not only was it quirky in naming, but it was also quirky in design, and felt like an experience to drive. I remember driving around Cheltenham in that car, or Up Hatherley as it's known, and someone in a chameleon-wrapped Type R was literally staring at the car as it was going along the roundabout. Let me repeat that, a chameleon-wrapped Civic Type R. Okay, to the third award. This is the most meaningful video. So a video that, in my opinion, really helped out a lot of people, or other people have found quite useful and gained a lot of views. So in third place is the mod stock video. So that's when I took my F-Type to mod stock to get a backbox and resonator mod. And it's been well documented that mod stock do help make the existing exhaust sound a lot nicer. But it did reassure F-Type buyers or F-Type owners into how well executed their work is, and me making a video on that helped reassure them into their service. So I do think that deserves third place. In second place is the key fob upgrade. So unfortunately the Jaguar F-Type has the older style key fob originally with the silver section on the side, which you have to open up in order to use the metal key, and has a tendency of peeling over time. And the buttons don't feel very reassuring, and I've never really liked the way it looked. But the later key that was introduced to Jaguar and Land Rovers around 2018, 2019, I preferred the look of much more. It felt heftier, it felt more premium, the buttons were a lot more reassuring with that nice little click to it. The Jaguar script was front and center, and the metal key fob was not in a silver section, it's simply a quick release function. And of course, they do not peel. But in first place of the most meaningful video has to be the puddle light video, which so many people have been reaching out to me and they said they looked at my video on how to swap the puddle illuminator or the puddle light on the bottom of the door of a Jaguar F-Type, and also not only get rid of that warm halogen hue, also get a clear white illumination and, in this case, showcase the Jaguar emblem. Even to this day, I think it's very useful, and the quality of that item is so good, it's yet to fade after a few years of having it on. So the fourth award of this video is the Consolation Award. So this award is to the video or the review of a car that underwhelmed me, that I expected more or found to be a letdown. It's not necessarily the entire car, maybe it's just one specific thing about that car. So in third place is the Mercedes CLE. It is a very complete car overall, but its driving dynamics were a bit of a disappointment. It's not the sportiest car to drive. I know it's a comfortable car first. It's more of a cruiser than a sports car, but I have driven other Mercedes-Benz cars that are also non-AMGs that offer a lot more driving pleasure, especially when in sport mode or sport plus mode. But really, I'm just nitpicking in this case. Second place goes to the E46. Again, it's a complete car, and I absolutely enjoyed the way it drove. I found that manual gearbox to be perfectly competent around Gloucester. That fifth gear is perfectly fine doing 30, 40, 50, 60. It's only when it gets to 70 does it get a bit noisy. But the reason it's in this award is the steering felt a bit sloppy and a bit vague. Compared to the 3 Series that came before, the E30, which felt nice and crisp and linear. I've yet to drive an E36, and its successor, the E9X, or in this case the E93 Cabriolet, which had the best steering communication, the best feel when driving enthusiastically. So in this case, the steering on the E46 felt like a low point, but again, overall, I'm quite happy with the car. And in first place, unfortunately, is the NDMX5. It is a good car once again, and I still would recommend it to most people, but after driving it, even with the roof up and the roof down around Swindon, it just didn't get under my skin. Everyone says Miata is always the answer, but I don't know, it just didn't flow with me. I have driven another Mazda, the RX-8, which I did enjoy experiencing a lot, but the ND MX-5 at least felt like it was missing something. Okay, and the fifth award is the Biggest Achievement Award. The video that I felt like I've done something well, that I've progressed in my potential YouTube career, something that meant a lot to me in terms of achievement to myself. So in third place is experiencing the Jaguar F-Type SVR. So the SVR is basically the flagship version of the car I drive. I really like the way it looks, I really like the way it drove, and I really like the way it sounds. And if I had enough money and enough garage space or driveway space, I would have happily have one in the collection. But that's still yet to come, unfortunately. In second place is upgrading the key fob. It hasn't been mentioned on the previous award, but I think it still helped motivate me to take these DIY videos a lot further. There hasn't been one on the channel for a while, but I hope to do one once that time comes. But in first place is actually not a video. My biggest personal achievement with this channel will have to be getting it to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you for subscribing to this channel. And if you are watching this video and you've yet to subscribe, feel free to subscribe. I try to post as weekly as possible, and I also try to keep my content as frequent as possible. And the more you lot watch this channel, the more I will earn, thanks to the 1,000 subscriber being the moment my channel got monetized. So it is thanks to all of you for subscribing and watching these videos that I am now earning from YouTube and potentially turning YouTube into a living. So that is my number one personal achievement with the years of 23 and 24 put together. Before I wrap up, bonus 6 award, which is which of these cars would I like to own or go home with? So in third place is the Jaguar XES. So the Jaguar XES is simply an XE with a 3-litre V6 supercharged engine. I was very smitten with the way the car performed, the way the car sounded, and I really like that all-red exterior and interior. In second place is the Mercedes AMG E53 4MATIC Plus. So that was actually one of my courtesy cars that I had from Exotics by Enterprise. If I had to make one caveat, is that it's a saloon, and if I would have bought an E53, it would have either been a coupe or a cabriolet. But other than that, the E53 takes my number 2 spot on a car that I would like to take home with or personally own. But in first place of that bonus award, as I've mentioned in that video, I would really like to own an F-Type SVR. Yes, from basic dimensions, it's very similar to the car that I already own, but it takes all of these features all the way up to 11. The supercharged 5-litre V8 producing 575 PS, the very nice looking wing on the back, the quad exhausts, and the lovely quilted door cards and seats. And even though it was a performance car, it still drove very well along the speed bumps, and it did the comfort job very well. So that's my video on wrapping up 2023 and 2024. I hope you've enjoyed this format of video. If this does well, I may also consider doing the same sort of video for the end of next year, if this channel carries on like so. And I hope you enjoyed watching tonight's video. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you are new, ring the bell to stay up to speed, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers!